So when we talk about human agency, it's involving this ability to choose. Um, the free, uncoerced ability to choose evil is not some deficiency in God, His Word, what God has done or created. So I just want us to see that the atheists will sometimes say, well, if you can choose suffering, and if you can choose suffering for other people, sometimes they'll try to blame God for that. So God's not blameworthy. God could have made a world of automatons or robots. He did make rocks and trees. These are inanimate objects. But the crown of his creation was humankind. And in creating humankind, he made them free, the ability to choose. He's made us in his image, he's given us dominion. The Bible makes a strong case for what's called human exceptionalism. Human exceptionalism is the fact that we are exceptions among all of creation. What do I mean by that? Well, we are exceptional in the sense that God has given us a glory and responsibility and blessing, and He's placed within our flesh and blood a spirit. So we're exceptional before God. Animals don't have that aspect, plants don't have that, inanimate objects don't have that. So dignity would call for respect, and sanctity would call for reverence. This is part of us being created in the image of God. The psalmist would ask, "What is man that you're mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him?" So God being mindful of man establishes man's dignity, and Christ sacrificing himself shows the nearly unfathomable extent of dignity that man holds in the eyes of God. We are so valuable in the eyes of God that God Himself would die for us. Now, Jesus didn't die for dogs. He didn't die for the trees. He didn't die for pets that we love so much. He died for humanity. And that's his crown of creation, is who he wants to save. So being the offspring of God establishes human dignity. Our dominion, honor, and glory over other living creatures shows our moral standing and human dignity. Sometimes this is called human exceptionalism or species exceptionalism. Being loved by God establishes human dignity. Ultimately, Christ's death illustrates the extent to which God values man, blesses man, and showers us with an extraordinary measure of dignity. Now, when you talk about moral standing, this idea of moral standing has to do with value before God. And the reason why it would be moral, um, why it would be moral to kill a lion to protect its human child and immoral to kill a child to protect a lion is due to evaluating the moral standing of a child being greater value and worth than a lion. Now, here's the thing. Outside the Bible, you can't really have a complete view of moral standing, right? Um, so here's a farmer who raises crops and he harvests them. He's killing the crops, right? A peanut farmer in Georgia is going to harvest the peanuts, right? He's going to kill the peanuts so that he'll sell them off perhaps, or whatever he does with them, she does with them. All right. So is killing a peanut the same as killing a fetus? How am I going to answer that? All right. Well, what if the fetus is smaller than a peanut? Is it okay then? Like evolution really can't answer that. Naturalism can't answer that. You've got people like Peter Singer who just take extraordinary means in terms of devaluing human life. So in these discussions of abortion and environmental ethics and, why is it, I recently saw in the news that I think it was New Zealand, they were going to charge a fee to farmers. And I don't know if it's a tax or a penalty or what it is, but they were going to charge a fee to cattle farmers if I remember right, because of methane gas that comes from these animals. Okay, methane has an impact on global warming and things of that nature, from what they say. And so, now when we talk about moral standing, why would we kill a cow and say, well, that's okay? We can kill a cow and eat a cow, parts of a cow, but we wouldn't kill the farmer and eat the farmer, right? Why is one okay and the other not? Well, it's because of this issue of moral standing. And all of this gets into theological discussions, but the naturalist, you know, survival of the fittest, right? Um, you know, it's this eat or be eaten thing that goes on in nature. So, if nature's your rule of human conduct, okay, who's the predator, who's the prey? All right, it becomes a bit subjective, So, if if this guy in Texas wants to gun down people because the strongest survive, you know, um, all right, so how are you gonna judge that ultimately? Okay, you can say, all right, this is illegal. We as a nation in our social contract, which is our laws, have judged that killing other humans, innocent other humans, children, is a horrible thing to do, and a man should be put to death when he does such a thing. But why is it wrong? Oh, it's wrong because it's illegal. Okay, so it's wrong because a lot of people agree that it's illegal. Is it immoral? All right, so what's the basis for the immorality of it? All right, so without the Bible, you're kind of just shifting in the subjective sand of just, we're going to argue, we're going to have different opinions, and but what's going to be the objective standard for deciding why it's okay for the farmer to kill the cow, but not okay to kill the farmer to eat him? So moral standing is going to answer this thing. So the ethics of things intersects in this idea of apologetics, intersects into this idea of human suffering. The origin of it all is free will given to us by God. So I go through in the notes and I talk about this idea of human agency. And later in this, we're going to talk about this idea of the capacity of human beings. And so agency involves the ability to decide, right? Agency involves choice. We can seek, we can choose, we can deny, we can repent, we can abuse freedom, we can walk. Damien?
So that's what you mean when you say free moral agent, or when Buffett says free moral agent, it gives that a sense of having choice.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so a free moral agent is someone who has the ability and capacity to make a decision, to make a choice.